We're Batman at 89. Greetings, citizens of Gotham, and welcome once again to Batminute 89, the show that wants one of those things, all of the things, all of the time, as it investigates Tim Burton's Batman. I am one of your hosts, John Parker.
I am the other host, Niall McGowan.
And I'm the guest, Dave Pallas of 5 Minutes of Mystery.
Hang on, you don't sound like Zoe, who's been on the last 2 minutes. What's going on?
Hey, I'm just, you need a guy in a pinch to help out with a minute. I'm more than happy. I look at the minute and I got really sad.
Yeah.
Oh, no. Oh, it is a very upsetting minute, this. It's minute 99. It starts with straight up balloon theft, and it ends with misery. Utter misery. The most upsetting moment in cinema history.
The fact, though, you're just saying, like, a straight-up balloon theft. No, you can't go into a court of law and argue with something else. This is straight-up balloon thievery was what's happening right now.
Little do you know I'm a lawyer on the side.
I keep, again, though, because talking about, like, oh, yeah, this is like the darkest minute of the whole freaking movie, really. But it's kind of like, I had all this material of like, oh, it's party like it's minute 99. It's like, there's no partying in this minute. This is it's just sad.
The party's over.
I when I was a guest on Minute Impossible, that's going to premiere any week now. But they had me on, and it was during Emilio Estevez's untimely death in the elevator shaft. And so it was like that. It was like, hell, we're having fun, but now we can't have fun anymore. Now it's sad. And that's what it is. You're like, yeah, Batman's saving the day. Oh, man. At what price? At what cost?
I should have introduced this a bit more somber, shouldn't I? We could start again. Welcome to Batminute 89. This is minute 99.
We're gathered here today. Talking about a thing called Bob.
Oh, Bob, no. I think you've all probably guessed what happens later on, but we'll get there. We'll start at the beginning.
Could be people are just literally like, what happens this minute? Like, what the hell's going on?
We got to check this out.
Are you sitting down? You should be sitting down for this episode.
Well, we're right back in it here, though, with the Batwing as it robs Joker's balloons, which is a disgraceful act.
It's Batman executing his trench run here, as it were.
Well, as I said when I was doing my research, apparently, I said this in a couple of weeks ago, I think. Apparently, the targeting computer of the Batwing is the same as the targeting computer of an X-Wing, which I don't see, but it's meant to be. Maybe they've rejigged it somehow, but yeah. So yeah, it is his trench run.
That would be funny if they contacted ILM and was like, "Can we get a little bit of a dashboard thing?" And ILM's like, "Yeah, we'll tweak you an X-Wing."
They probably did do that, to be honest, because you constantly see them doing effects on things.
Yeah,
that you're not aware of, and you always see, like, every movie will be like Skywalker sound as well.
I tell you, this is a useful tool for the Batwing because of its shape. Like, God forbid, like he flew and like caught a power line or something. So it's like he needs these little sharp objects to like grab and climp.
Well, that's the thing about this thing though. This is up here. It's kind of in the vein of the bat shark repellent, because it's kind of like, what other occasions does he need this specific thing that he just happens to have for this one thing that he can do with it?
Well, snipping power lines, as you say.
I guess so. But it's like, it is just really like, oh, it's handy that I have a giant pair of scissors in front of the thing.
Or do you think he knocked that up like 10 minutes ago?
I don't know.
He just slapped it on the front now, like, quick, Alfred, we need to get this made.
No, it's just like, because we don't know how much he knows. He could show up and he's just like, what's going on here? Like, oh, right, balloons. Okay, how am I going to take care of this? Like, we don't know that he knows what the Joker's exactly doing. Because the last we saw of Batman was outside Axis Chemicals once he had blown all that up. And it's just like, oh, come meet me here in like a minute. So he could be like, oh, right, better get back to the Batcave in the Batwing, then fly over to Gotham again.
See, all right, so that's a good question. That's a good question about like the Batwing, because obviously this is the first time we're seeing it in this film, and I was always kind of curious now thinking about it, is this the first time he's really flying it, or did he take it like upstate out of Gotham and kind of like on moonless nights fly it around and make sure like because I'm sure like him and Alfred like run the simulation 1,000 times about if everything's working, and then he like takes it out to like northern state around up north of Metropolis and everything, and he flies around the dead of night to make sure it lands well, and he probably flies it around trees and make sure he has the room, because like I mean with the cow in that little cockpit there's like barely any room to head swivel at.
he can't look around him, let's be honest. He cannot. There's no chance.
There's no way. Yeah,
but it's funny you say that, actually, because we were just talking earlier this week with our guest Zoe about that very thing. Like, has he flown this before? Because I get the impression Batman in this movie, he's quite new.
Mm-hmm.
He's only just sort of started hitting the streets recently, like a few months ago, maybe. But and the Batwing, it seems to get an introduction, like here's his new thing. But at the same time, he seems perfectly comfortable with it. He's got these very specific gadgets on it. It looks used, like the cockpit's dirty, kind of like a plexiglass kind of thing over it. So. I don't know. Like, how long's he been flying this? Has he had this since day one? Where's he got it as well? He doesn't. It's not a weapons company, or is it?
Yeah, I mean that's a good point. He probably taking that hint from Batman Begins, he probably through Wayne Corp was like piecing it together and making sure it was running, and then maybe the reason he even brings it out tonight. You said he wasn't 100% certain what the story with Joker and the parade was, so maybe that's what I was going. He said, I'm going to fly around the city with this and do quick recon because I can't be on every rooftop at once during the parade. So I'll fly around, I'll recon to see what's going on. And he sees, oh, we got bad balloons. And luckily I got my balloon catcher on
it just comes back to the fact like, oh, thank God I have this giant pair of scissors in the front that I've installed. I can use this to haul these balloons. Straight up balloon theft, as we called it earlier.
Well, and then you see Joker, and he witnesses this, and he looks genuinely like upset. Yeah. Like, not only because his plan has been beaten, but literally just because his balloons have been stolen. My balloons. He's like, oh, bless him.
Yes,
it's cute.
This is honest astonishment. Like, he's probably had this plan for weeks. Him and Bob had talking it over. He's like, oh, we'll get all the people in. We'll throw the money at him, and they're going to get him with the gassy balloons. It's going to be great. And he's probably told all of his guys to be on rooftops with like sniper rifles to make sure that like Batman can't like hang out there. He probably had it all planned out, and he did not realize that where does he get these beautiful toys? Where does he get this Batwing all of a sudden to fly in and not just blow up because he knows he can't, because he knows Batman can't just blow up the parade, because he knows I got all these civilians here next to me. He's like, I got all these human bodies that I can use as shields. He can't. There's no way he could just walk right up and start blowing up my parade. But he's like, he didn't think, oh, he's just gonna steal my balloons. It is honest. I mean, and Bob too has this face of like, I got nothing. Like, I just got nothing for Mr. J.
Actually, that brought up something that I hadn't thought about. Maybe Joker was doing this specifically using the people as a shield, because we saw Batman earlier blow stuff up with bombs, literal bombs. So maybe that was what he was thinking. Like, he's going to blow me up, so I'm going to surround myself with the people. He's not going to do it now.
Well, the thing is, though, as we said in those minutes when he was blowing up Axis chemicals, for all Batman knows, that could be filled with like kidnapped scientists and completely innocent civilians, and he's just like, nope, I'm blowing the whole thing up. So Joker could put past, because this isn't like your Heath Ledger Joker with like, oh, I want him to kill me, so he'll break his one cardinal rule and stuff. And if he kills anybody, that's Batman screwed in terms of his own ethics and whatnot. This is just like Joker. He could be like, he could show up and just shoot us all. Like, you can't put anything past this guy.
The difference is, at least, that was a chemical plant on the edge of the city. This is dead center national broadcast news, Gotham Network news. It's like if Batman would be a terrorist in a moment, because any news that Vicky or our other buddy, I can't remember his name right now. Knox? Is it Knox?
Knox, yeah.
Knox. Any news that they would have gotten out about like, oh, Joker had these plans, like that would get immediately steamrolled by the monster of Gotham is the terrorist. Like, it would, like Batman would just, it would go from that cryptoid storyline about a giant bat to, yep, there's a terrorist flying around blowing people up in the parade. Like, and the Joker storyline would get buried. So he knows, like, I'll have all this done, dead city, the city, and everyone will either be dead or they'll see, the cameras will capture Batman being a terrorist.
Yeah, so clever on Joker's part. He's covered himself well.
But you also note as well, like some of the other balloons, because we do get a little shot of them, because they really concentrate on that clown one, and then we had a bit of a close up of the baby in the other minutes we covered this week. But then we do briefly see that there's one of a tiger and one of an octopus, or something that looks like a tiger and an octopus. Maybe it's just a cat, I don't know. But it's as if they could be bothered with those ones. Like, we spent a lot of time on the baby and that clown. We need more balloons, though.
That's a good question. Yeah, no, it looks like a baby. It looks like some kind of tiger or a cat. Like the what's it? Is it in Batman Returns? Doesn't Matt what's his name? Max? Doesn't he have like a cat? That's a cat
Max,
team, right?
check.
And you read like it looks like in the back. It looks like, honestly, it looks like a green penguin or something. It's something like that. I'm very curious.
That would have been great if there was a penguin.
I'm curious if like there's a cat there and there's a penguin there as like a just a little nod, just the littlest of nods.
These days, absolutely.
Oh, today. Oh, gosh, yeah. Today, everything would be that. Yeah. Heck, right there as he's talking to Bob, saying, "Those are my balloons," is just like, Bob, do something. And Bob's like got this face of, I got that Joe Steins in the back there, Joe Steins, that would be like Lex's Lex department or something like that.
Yeah, 100%.
Although I should say as well that there's the shot though of Batman when he swoops in to take the gather the cables. I've actually never really looked at this. It is a really weird shot of like, because he is directly above the Joker's head. Like, he flies straight over his head. You see it for like the splittest of seconds. And then you see like, the bat plane actually looks really, really small. It looks as if like literally there's nothing much in it but him.
Oh, it is little, I think. Yeah, it's not too big.
It's very, because obviously I think they've superimposed over footage of, Jack Nicholson on this float going like, what? Like kind of looking up and stuff. But yeah, as an image, as that, it's like, yeah, it's a bit weird looking. Like, no wonder it's so brief. It's just like, yeah, we just have to get that conveyed. Don't analyze it.
Don't analyze it minute by minute.
yeah. And then little did they know that this would come crashing down on their heads.
We've called them out. We've got them.
But
actually, I like the way though when Batman, he's got the balloons and he's desperately trying to get them out of there. And he's pulling back on the controls. And I love the look on his face because it looks painful. It looks like he's really trying hard to pull these up. So it made me think, like, how heavy are these balloons?
They kill his aerodynamicness in a city.
I researched, because we don't really get parades in the UK, do we not? Like, what is there? There's the Notting Hill Carnival, but that's not really a parade. It's a bit different. So I researched balloons. Now, I assume these are bigger. But I looked at Macy's parade balloons. I think they're bigger than normal balloons. But I couldn't really find out about the weight. But there was a lot of other info that might help us. Because it says here, the balloons' dimensions, they vary. But most are about 5 to 6 stories high. And somewhere around 60 feet long and 30 feet wide. So that's pretty big. They're huge. And they require 12,000 cubic feet of helium. So that would fill 2,500 bathtubs. And you have to have 90 people handling these things. At the Macy's parade, yeah. So, and there's like requirements for the handlers. You have to weigh 120 pounds, have no heart, back or knee problems, things like that. So I know these are smaller maybe than the Macy's ones.
You think that the Joker asked, like the goons, is like, hey you, well, how much you weigh? Do you have any like heart problems, any knee problems? All right, you can do the balloons.
It's like, oh, you have got a heart condition. Oh, sorry, you can't.
You're gonna have to be like a guy with Tommy gun on the float with me.
He's safety conscious. He's a health and safety officer as well. He's done the training.
I just wonder though if it's the weight of the balloons is what Batman's struggling with, or it's more the fact because he's so close to hitting this church or whatever it is.
Well, I think it's the whole thing combined, isn't it? He's got to pull them up as fast as he can.
Yeah. Because yeah, there's a good bit of tension there. Because it is just like, oh, it would be a bit of a weird one if he just like, yep, he just flies into the church, and like that was the end of Batman.
I mean, yeah, he's got a really like he's got that tight trench run like where he's got to come down fast, grab him, then pull him up. And I'm sure as soon as they tightened up, like that aerodynamic of just like they want to go their direction straight up, and he's like, well, I kind of want to go that way. He's got to like finagle it to make sure he doesn't crash. So,
well, and looking at it now as well, because I was just checking again that shot of him, pulling the balloons. I said apparently the targeting computer is meant to be like the X-wing one. The cockpit is exactly the same as an A-wing. I've only just noticed it's almost identical. So I think they're just ripping off Star Wars.
He's probably watching the movie in his theater, and he's just like, Alfred, we're gonna build it like that. What, Master Bruce? We're gonna build it like that, Alfred. Right like that. That's it. It's perfect.
That makes sense. If I was a guy who'd kind of lost his mind and was going to fight crime with crazy gadgets I had the money to build, I'd be ripping off Star Wars as well.
I mean, I'm not going to be surprised if Bruce Wayne contacted George Lucas and LucasArts. Was like, hey, can I come to the set, kind of walk around, take a look at stuff?
Yeah.
And George was like, oh, Mr. Wayne, come on down. And just him walking around like, can I sit in the cockpit of this thing? Oh, it's real nice. And meanwhile, he's just like, he's got his little notepad out taking notes of measurements and stuff. How high's the head clearance on this? Okay, all right, good.
Yeah, just that wouldn't surprise me one bit. And also, I now want you to do the rest of the podcast as George Lucas because
I thought he was in the room. I was like, what the hell? George Lucas is on.
We have Joker and we have Batman. They fight each other. It's like poetry.
You know what? We should invite George on the show because he might appreciate being asked about something that's not Star Wars.
Yeah.
Red Tails Minute.
I've always thought this is a bit odd though, because like Batman, he's taking the balloons, he's flying off of them, and then he seems like he snips the wires, and then they all float off as a bundle, and it's like how? Like, would they not all be flying off in different directions and stuff? Why are they just tangled up in each other? Is that what's happened?
That's a good question. He probably did. He probably did a few couple like tight turns to make sure the wires got bundled together, so they went just directly up and they didn't try to like separate.
Yeah. It just seems it's just handy because again, as we addressed earlier in the week, it's like this is still death from above. Those balloons are going to float off to some other city. And then all of a sudden they're just going to have waves of Smilex just like drafting down into the streets.
Yeah, but nobody cares about Metropolis,
That's a good question. He's like, well, I hope the current takes us over the ocean, and otherwise,
yeah.
Yeah, he just snips the wires and just assumes that everything went according to plan.
But he's just like, I said I'd protect Gotham. I don't care.
Oh my God! Superman's like, Batman, Metropolis, everyone's going crazy. He's like, I just do Gotham. That's
your business.
That's your bit.
Every criminal he catches, he's just like, Joker, have him sent to Metropolis Asylum because like, once he's over there, he's out of my territory. I don't care anymore.
That would be a great story, actually, if he's just evicting the terrorists from Gotham. He doesn't care what they do. They just leave town. That's all I care about. Leave town.
But the people of Gotham here, because we see now the Joker making his way down. All these people, they're still, despite what's happened, they're clamoring on top of the float to gather the money. They've not learned, we better get away from this guy. They're like, no, screw it. We're like, it's still money lying around here. We're taking this.
I mean, it's the crowd mentality. It's probably like if you're packed with all these people in the parade, you're told like he's giving away, he's got the money and stuff. Like you may hear like later the next morning about the clouds, but if you didn't see the cloud of gas with those other people, you probably were like, oh what's going on? Oh, he's in the money bag. Nobody's near the money bag. Everyone just grabs up for the money bag.
Well, as I saw Joker descending from his cake throne, I saw the guy climbing up.
Yeah.
And my first thought was because he goes all the way to the top. I thought he's going to sort of like sit at the top. And it just made me think of Star Trek. Like as soon as Kirk leaves his chair in Star Trek, Spock is in the chair. Sometimes Kirk hasn't even left the room yet. He hasn't left the bridge and Spock's like, I'm taking the chair. I'm the captain.
Well, as I say, where did he have all the money bags when he was like standing and bogarting in front of the crowd? like, where was the money? I assume the money bags are like sitting up on those little chairs, and that's where he's just grabbing the whole bag. He's like, I screwed with the one and twosies. I'm gonna go right for that sack. And everyone, and this Joker's leaving. The guys are like, well, we're going to follow Joker because we got no other ideas right now. That was the plan. Was the balloons?
You'd think Joker would at least want them to protect the cash. Then again, does he even care? He doesn't. He's not a money guy.
Yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
He's very visibly only concerned about these balloons.
There is a deleted scene that we don't know about, and it's Bob doing the money. He's doing the accounting with Joker, and Joker's like, I want $5 million in cash to give out to people. He's like, all right, boss. He's like, well, it just about covers the balloons. We could have this and that, and we can have more snipers. We can have more hey, what if Batman has a plane? We could get maybe we could buy some rocket launchers. No. We got to focus on the balloons. The rest is in cold cash. It's like, all right, sir. I'm just saying we don't know what Batman could be bringing. He's like, he's going to try and blow up the base. And he can't blow up the parade because all the people are there. And they're like, okay, boss. And that's it. It's just that's all the money. It's all the money they had was to balloons and the float.
He's already spent what else he had on the merchandise he's already created, as we've seen, the goon jackets and whatnot. So this is everything else.
One thing, like I've been holding off on this I'm talking about this guy because it's just like, oh, I know you're gonna love this, John, once you hear this. But like as I think it's the last minute you see him in, so it's like, well, better bring it up now. As Joker is descending the float, a goon has sort of ducked down to allow him to step on him as a step.
Oh my god, yeah, I didn't notice.
Oh wow!
Oh, that's beautiful. That's such good attention to
it's
detail.
It's so smooth. The scene, I go by frame because you're right. It's so smooth. You're just looking at the crowd and you just see him get his back up. Yeah, wow.
But this goon, the guy who plays this goon, because he's been in several other scenes, and I'm like, I'll hold off on him because.
Wait, can you stop a second? Have you got his name as a goon? Has he got a hilarious name?
No, he's just some random goon. But
I wanted him to be like back goon.
I'm assuming, John, you don't know who this guy is.
No, I didn't even see him getting stood on, so I did not look him up.
But this goon is played by a guy called Richard Strange. Richard Strange is the founder and frontman of the proto-punk art rock band Doctors of Madness, which is a band that the Sex Pistols, the Jam, and Joy Division supported before they were kind of big things.
Wow.
They did. Oh my god, let's do we're doing a punk cast now.
But Dave Vanian from The Damned, he also did co-vocals in Doctors of Madness with Richard Strange, this guy right here. Richard Strange, then later on, amazing career this guy's had. Absolutely, it's astounding. You look into him, he's like really, really impressive. Like he's done... he was invited by Frank Zappa's wife recently, tragically she died since, but to narrate Frank Zappa's opera, 200 Motels. He's also got a series of solo albums. He curated something in Soho called Cabaret Futura, which apparently is like an art...
Futura.
Yeah, and then he did a multimedia piece in the Tate Modern in London, called "Language is a Virus from Space."
That is a great name. That sounds like a movie.
It's based on the writings of William S. Burroughs. Is also featured in the films Gangs of New York, Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves. He played Abraham Lincoln in Inkheart.
What?
He's also in The Deathly Hallows Part 2.
Oh, okay, that's crazy. I did not know he was in any of these. But he's exactly the kind of guy Tim Burton would be into. Like, because he's not just like a proto-punk kind of guy. He's like an obscure one as well. It's not like one most people have heard of or anything. He's not an Iggy Pop or something.
But beyond that, though, I came across an interview with Richard Strange where he talks about working on Batman. And you recall when we had we're talking about Mac McDonald, and he was saying, oh yeah, Jack Nicholson was a total dick to him, and like he had a really bad time, and he's like, I just had no time for that Jack Nicholson guy at all. Richard Strange, exact opposite. He absolutely loved working on this movie. He has nothing but praise for everything. Apparently, he said Burton was a gas, and then Jack was great fun, exactly as you imagined he would be. Cool, dry humor, charming, but totally aware of what a star he was. Easy to chat to in makeup. He called me Tiger Lips because of the scars they put on me. And I remember him singing Good Vibrations and telling me he used to be a lifeguard. And then he's saying things apparently like after the guy, the dresser for Jack Nicholson, a guy called Dave Whiting. He apparently had a really bad motorbike accident after production. And he had like tons of medical bills. Jack Nicholson sent him an unsolicited check, just paying off all his medical bills.
Whoa.
Bloody hell.
Yeah, and then
Nice one.
He's just saying like things and all the dancing and stuff and the museum scenes. Richard Strange's improv and stuff. Jack loved it. He was stealing moves from him and stuff like that. And, apparently, he just come up to him at the end of the day and go like, "Oh well, Tiger Lips, another day, another $90,000," and walk away.
Oh, if only. I mean, this podcast only gets us 20,000 a day, so we're not all the way there yet.
Yeah.
You guys make money on there?
Oh, if only.
But yeah, and he's nothing but just saying like, "Oh, Tim Burton, really fun, welcoming fella." All of it. Just he had a great time working on this movie. The only thing he says is like
nice
filming these scenes. Apparently, it was his idea to be the step, and then it pitched it to Jack. Jack loved it. Tim Burton loved it. And then this is said they were freezing. They're all wearing thermal underwear and stuff while they're making this because it was the outdoors and stuff. But so that one goon who we have seen in other scenes, he's popped up and now and again.
Yeah.
But yeah, Richard Strange. So that's he's at least he's a big name who was like, oh, it's, now you can be like that guy did a ton of stuff. So.
And there's a second guy who also is a step. There's There's a chunky blonde guy in a hat, but you can't see him because Ranger Rick Goon is like right in front of the camera. But there is a second guy. But yeah, both of them I think get up, and then it's like Bob was coming down, so it kind of turned into like a support Bob as he like jumps down from the float rather than the step. But God, I love just these going by frames, just having Bob like beeline it for Joker, like I gotta get to my boss, and then he's got to the boss, like I got no idea, like he's working moment by moment in his head, and you just see Joker just with this blank stare of like I got no backup plan, like. Most of the time in Batman stories, Joker, as chaotic as he is, has the backup plan of, oh, you did this, well, I do that. You do this, I do that. This right now, he's just like, I got no plan right now. I'm just speechless, and then sees Bob, and he turns back to Fury.
Yeah, it proper switches into Fury, as you say, because he said my balloons before, sounding sad, but now it's like he stole my balloons. He's like anger. Like, and then, of course, classic line, why didn't somebody tell me he had one of those things? And honestly, there is that like solid almost second of them just looking at each other. And that's why I believe there's that deleted scene of like, Bob might have said like, what if he has a plane or a jet? Like, but like Joker dismisses it because he's so worried about like all the cool designs of his balloons. And so like for a moment, they both come back to that scene and Bob's not going to mention it. And Joker's not going to mention it. So it's like they both know it was addressed. And neither wants to. Joker's not going to admit that he didn't listen. And Bob's not going to admit that I told you so, boss. And so they just amazement from one is just like, yeah, this just be muddled. Was it? Just your just utter confusion of I don't know what to do for the boss. And the boss just like, I'm angry and I want to kill Batman right now. But he's in a jet flying over the city and I can't do anything about it. Oh, well, so he does something in a minute. We'll get there because there's one thing I was going to say first was
Was it your guy? Is it your step guy? Like the other guy next to him is telling him about the jet because he goes, he's listening to him and the other guy's looking straight up and he's like, wait, what happened up there? And he takes his shades out to look straight up into the night sky. I'm going to put on my cool shades and take a look.
I love as well, like Joker, when he says, one of those things. Of course, he doesn't know what it is. But obviously, in the competition of branding in this movie, Batman's holding his own here because Joker's clearly identified this as a Batman thing. Yeah. Like, it's obviously Batman. He knows it's Batman. So he's done well shaping it like a bat. It's successful. The whole Batman story has devolved into like a marketing contest between these two figures. Yeah. I think that would be an exciting story for a comic.
It's weird though. If it turns out like no, it's the Green Arrow. Like what? What the hell is he doing on a bat-shaped plane?
Have you read any of the latest issues of Batman with that Tom King's been writing?
Not that one, no. I've only just started a few recent ones, but no, not that.
Keep
not that
reading.
far along.
I love him. Keep reading. But in the latest issue, he's investigating a murder. And so he's like pretty much talking to himself out loud in his head. He's talking to, I think he's talking to Gordon at this one scene. And he's saying it could be Zsasz, it could be Two-Face, it could be this. And so, yeah, Gordon's like, well, do you think they changed their motives? And they changed their how they do it? Their branding of how, like, you know, Zsasz cuts himself and Two-Face and just Batman replies to Gordon. He says, I throw batarangs, I drive a Batmobile, I fly a Batwing. Like, I don't change. These guys aren't changing either. And that's his whole thinking. He's like, no. I got to figure out what the bit of this murder is. I can then pin it. I can then figure out who did it. It's not, oh, Two-Face changed it up. He's doing threes. Or, oh, Zsasz is not, you know, is cutting himself for different reasons. Like, no, they all have their reasons for why they do stuff. And because it's all about their
brand. It could be something, though.
This sounds cool.
If, you know, like you're saying about that deleted scene, though. If there is a scene, it turns out, like, no, it was Two-Face. He did change it up. And then Batman and Gordon are just like, I don't want to say I told you, Batman, but it's like all right, I was wrong with this one thing, this one time, okay?
Oh man, no, yeah, the issues are really good. I love Bruce Wayne like waking up in the morning, and the first thing he does is talk to himself about like he's as if he's talking to like Alfred, but it's just him in the bed, and he's just walking around the room, getting changed, going over it like Sherlock Holmes style. Like, okay, he did that twos. He's going to change it up. If it's this. It's great to see him do it without just like staring at the back computer. It's like him doing it all in his mind of like running it back and forth. And I was like, this is some solid detective work. That's why I've been loving the new Batman issues. They're just really great.
Is it in his head a bit like Sherlock or something?
It's
like the way they do it in that show.
Yeah, it's like that. And he's like, and each person he tries to pin it to in his head, he says like how they're going to, he believes how they're going to mess up and where he's going to catch them. So he's like, if it's this, I'm going to catch him like that. If it's this person, I'm going to catch him like that. And it's just him just trying to figure out, I got to figure out who did the murder by figuring out the pattern. Like, it's like their hands were pointing in a certain direction. He's like, was it like a clock? Did Clock King, what's Clock King referencing if it's him? You know, it's like their fingers look like they're making the number 2. All right, if it's Two-Face, this and that. No, that'd be 3 bodies. That would make it 8. Two-Face wouldn't go for 8. He wouldn't go for 3. It's just like
that's
running.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He's just running this whole pattern like in his head. Just boxes of dialogue of him walking around, just saying that out loud to himself. I'm
on board with this. I'm good. I need to read this now. Niall, why didn't you buy me that for Christmas? I'm talking about Christmas. Bloody hell, when this airs, it's going to be long gone. Sorry, folks. But then we're joking. But then the saddest moment has arrived. Joker, he asked Bob for a gun, and he dutifully delivers. Yeah. That's our Bob, you know, always there for his man.
He's so, in that moment, he's like, oh, yeah, of course I got the gun. Like, and no one's thinking about why Joker needs a gun or anything. He's just like, I need to do something for the boss. I need to, like, get in good graces because I didn't handle the Batwing and the balloon situation. So, yeah, just hands the gun over without even thinking.
Well, you would never expect what's coming. Like I get shocked every time I watch this film. I always forget this is happening.
Yeah,
because you've grown so attached to him throughout the movie, which is weird to say for a villain, but you know.
No, I always think in my mind, I always thought Bob was in the church. I always think Bob's in the church until I watch this again. I go, no, he doesn't make it to the church.
He doesn't because then Joker he shoots him. Oh.
He's not even looking at him. He's looking kind of to the side. It's just like
he can't look at him. Yeah.
So upsetting. Like, how could he do this? His oldest pal. Yeah. Why do you think is he like blaming him maybe for not getting the info about the Batwing? Because he was kind of like his snoop, wasn't he? He would send him out to get research.
I think it's more. I don't even know if it's like a blame game. I think it's just this is like literally how far gone he is as a character. It's just like I need to vent my frustration. I'm going to kill my best friend.
Like someone who'd punched the wall, kind of out of frustration, but in a more extreme.
It's like he needs the consequence. This happened, so a consequence needs to happen. It's just, and that's all it is, a consequence. And the guy to the right has about 1,000 thoughts now running through his head. Just like, I thought we were in it for the money. I thought we were doing it because of this and that, whatever reasons. And like, yeah, as soon as Joker makes that shot, that look of his face of just like, this just like kills all morale and any way to like recruit. He can't go back to his homies like at the card table and be like, so yeah, that whole parade thing kind of went pear shaped and Joker just shot the top guy Bob.
Oh, I'm getting sad just talking about it.
But I think it's more, he does have a look of genuine. I know how crazy this guy is we're working for, but like it is just like, holy shit, he just shot Bob. Like it's just like, okay, this is happening. And then, you know, to be fair to him, he gets kind of back on board with things very quickly. But then we have to keep an eye out. Do we see this goon again? Because he might just be like, yeah, I'm out of here. Like it's like, as soon as the Joker's not looking, I'm taking off because I'm not risking going down that Bob route.
It reminded me though of like in the Empire Strikes Back and stuff like that. You know, when Vader will kill one of the guys and then promote someone else. They can't leave. They can't say anything. They just like, okay, because maybe he says to this guy, "You're the new Bob." He's like, okay, even though he knows this will probably happen to me.
And a way to sugarcoat it, though, to be fair, we don't see a body here. We don't see Bob dead. So you could argue maybe he survives it, and maybe he claws his way, gets in an ambulance or something. And then him and Knox end up in the same hospital room together, reminiscing. And then, rather than now this is the end of our Tumblr ship of Boker.
Oh, hashtag Boker.
Yeah, you can have the potential headcanon of Knox and Bob, which would be Tumblr ship...
Box?
You know, Box or Knob, which is...
Both are equally wrong.
Yeah,
it's funny you bring up Star Wars because it's funny. Just the thoughts that just ran through my head was, yeah, this is a little bit of Last Jedi spoilers. I'll keep it dirty vague, but like Bob pretty much.
What was that term? Dirty vague.
I keep it like dirt simple and vague. That's what I mean. I just
right.
Really dirty. I keep it dirt. No. That's what I meant to say. Like I'm going to be really. I'm not. So if someone by this point, this episode has not watched Last Jedi, you're not going to be super spoiled about Hux and Kylo Ren have not the greatest relationship in those movies. But Hux is doing his job. Hux is like, if my job is taking out the Resistance, I'm going to do it. I got my plan, and that's what Bob is. Bob's like, I got my plan. I'm going to back up Mr. Joker on anything. Anything Joker wants to do, I'm going to back him up and get all the information. So, you know, Bob dies probably with the thoughts of like how sad he was of how he didn't do his job right, and just this helplessness of like helping his boss for a decade. Because I tell you, I bet you if the first act of this movie went different, and Napier finds Bob and is like, we're gonna go to the cops and we're gonna turn on Grissom, I think Bob would go with him. I don't think Bob would be like, but Mr. Grissom, like he would be like, okay, and like they'd walk right into the police station and say like, this is what Carl Grissom does, A, B, and C, and these are all his clients are Z, X, Y, Z. I think he would follow Napier no matter what. So this is
absolutely.
Relationship of probably over a decade, and just him die. Yeah, just and that's the thing. And that's, so yeah, in the latest film, you know, Kylo Ren gives out an order. Hux is already doing his job, and then Kylo just throws him to the side. And I feel like Hux should stand and go, okay, hey, you know, if you want to do this, just give me the retirement package because I'm doing my job. I know you got your personal beef with your folks, and that's great. You're trying to work them out, but I'm just doing my job here, which is to kill the Resistance. So if you got a problem with that, I'll take the severance and just go. I'll go retire somewhere.
You've seen how it goes, though, if he does try and stand up to him in any way. It never ends well for him, especially in that movie.
We have completely ducked into something else to avoid the pain of having to deal with what's happened on the screen.
I diverted, because I mean, even Joker says I'm gonna need a minute or two alone, boys. So really, like the leadership of the Joker gang is kind of in a disarray right now. They have nothing to take out the civilians that they wanted to. The money's just kind of being used since they're giving out the money, but it was the bait to kill Gotham and drive it into chaos. So, and he says, yeah, you're right. He might, for all we know, he may just kind of like kneel down in front of Bob and talk to him for a few minutes, and the guys are going to be like, Okay. It's just, and I think even so, like the movie should for the audience just kind of pause and say, because I mean, we don't know what's going to happen after this. Like, is Batman going to fly around? Is Batman going to hear the gunshot from up there with his sensors and be like, no, he was a goon, but he still deserved trial,
That's a great way of putting it.
Like, Batman's angry that the goon got killed. No!
The fact that he wouldn't just call him a criminal. It's like, he was a goon, but he deserved trial.
Yeah. But damn it, he deserved to stay in court.
But I'm just briefly going back to the people on the, scooping up the money on the float. I'm guessing this is why the whole idea of the money being fake was taken off the cards. Because these people are still going for it. We think, no, you maybe haven't heard the episodes yet, Dave, but the original script had that people would pick up the money and it was the Joker's face on it. So it was fake money, which seemed like a great idea. It's like, yeah, that'll be perfect. But then we're like, what happened that screwed up so badly that they had to cut it out of the movie? And I guess maybe it's kind of like, yeah, well, why would they be on the float picking up fake money? Like, maybe that's what happened.
Yeah.
Yeah. They'd have caught on by now.
Everyone would just shrug and leave. That's what you'd be seeing otherwise. You would see him walking off the float angry at Bob, and meanwhile everyone's going, oh, it's fake money, let's just get out of here. And everyone's just like, yeah, and everyone just kind of downtroddenly like leaves. That's about, and I said, they, hypothetically, they didn't see the balloons get taken. Like, for all they know, it happened so fast that, like, they're like, oh, well, money's fake, the balloons are gone. Oh, this parade's kind of a dud. Let's just get a hot dog.
The mayor kept promising hot dogs and balloons. We saw the balloons. Where are the hot dogs? Where are they?
Oh, that would suck, though. Wouldn't that suck if they'd been to the hot dog and it was just like the cheapest, saltiest beef? It's like, the hot dogs aren't even that good.
That's a good question. Where's Mayor Borg? He should have been out of anything. Like, oh, the hot dogs are here. The balloons. Oh, look at those balloons. Those balloons are amazing.
I can get maybe some of the other people not going because obviously something suspicious is happening. It's clear, right? But the mayor, he's so into them hot dogs. He's so into this parade. You think he would just go anyways? Like, I don't care. I just want to sell these hot
there
dogs.
With like a glued-on mustache of like, no, I'm not Mayor Borg. I'm his cousin, Mayor Zorg. It's like. It's the first name that changes. It's like, oh shit.
You're so lucky that I actually talked to a guy who owns a hot dog cart company earlier this week.
Oh,
and so and unrelated Batman, I just kind of talked to him about, like, I said, what do you usually do with the hot dog carts, like on weekends and stuff? Like, do you have to like search for fairs and parades and stuff? And he brought up how like he has like this whole system with like car dealerships, with a lot of department stores, like a lot of like, especially around the holidays when the stores want people to come in. He says he gets paid up front by the store, and usually what it is the store will either say it's carte blanche people on hot dogs, or it's every time they buy something they get a voucher ticket and that gives them a hot dog. And he told me the story about he was doing a car dealership, and so they paid him up with the car dealership, and he said, okay, well, these are my costs. These are how many, 100 hot dogs here, 100 buns here, and I'll have more of this and that. He said that a salesman, one of the salesmen on the lot came up, and he said that guy within a work day of being there ate, I think he said about a dozen hot dogs and 4 Italian sausages.
Whoa.
I said, what's his weight?
Oh my God.
I said, what's the weight? He said about 300, 320 pounds. I said, okay, so it's a big guy. But I was like, did the company did you bring this up? And he says, yeah, I brought up to the dealership and said, hey, just let you know, your one salesman guy is essentially starting to like dig into my bottom line right now because you told me about the hot dogs. I had to open up more hot dogs and more buns just to refill because he's doing more than he's eating more hot dogs per hour than like most of your customers are on the lot. And they said, apparently he was a good enough salesman. They didn't care. They said, okay, fine, we'll give you more money. He said,
bloody hell.
They said, and I was like, this must be his whole thing. He comes and he said, and I said, did you see the guy sell a lot of cars? A lot of people come to him. He says, I saw him walk around the office and he kind of had this kind of sad lumbering attitude. I said, maybe he's playing like the gentle giant. People buy cars off of him and there's some weird pity, but it's all like a prestige act. I said, like the fishbowl under the outfit, like it's all he just plays this big lumbering oaf, sells a lot of cars, buys a lot of hot dogs, or eats a lot of free hot dogs. So
we need this guy on the show. Get him on.
So I just wanted to let you know that like I got a little bit of the nitty gritty on hot dogs and fairs and stuff.
Well, if any listeners know even more about hot dogs, send it in. Like we'll put it on the show. Send in an audio file. We'll splice it in here as well. Hot dog talk all the time.
Anywho, I think that kind of wraps up like the action though for like what we got going on.
Yeah.
This minute, but
in the original '86 draft, there is a thing here that's a bit different because obviously there's not really Bob, but they were adamant there'd be a death here.
Oh, yeah.
And I mentioned it in the previous minute on Wednesday. Knox dies around this kind of time instead, which is upsetting as well. I mean, not to the same degree. Knox is kind of a roller coaster of emotions for us, isn't it?
I say, like you've seen me. I got a little aggravated with Knox. But I mean, he's a smarmy SOB, but he's not worth a death. Like it's like that's like with the Jurassic World, like the assistant.
Oh,
it's like, okay, she wasn't for some reason, like she was a little like annoyed to be a babysitter as for her boss.
I would be,
but not like deserving of like getting torn in half by a giant like dinosaur alligator.
Well, like everything about Jurassic World though is inherently, it seems to be anti-working woman. It's like, the working woman gets killed by a pterodactyl. The other one is then ham-fisted into, you should be spending more time with your family. It's just like, she's a working woman that foists these kids upon her when she's clearly trying to run a multi-billion-dollar industry here. Give her a friggin' break. Like, she has work to do. So it's,
some people don't want a family. That's
but
fine.
It's just like, no, at the end, she's got to be hooked up with Chris Pratt, and she's got to care for the kids, because that's what a woman's supposed to do. It's like, the whole thing's like, well...
Yeah. Let us just make sure that the audience knows that's not what we think. Like, that's what the movie says.
The movie says that, and then the trailer is like, we got to go back to this island. Not enough people have died yet. I'm like, guys, I don't think just let the dinosaurs die. It's not worth sending more innocent people and researchers. Like these researchers could be working on something else. Like, and I don't know. Like I said, I don't want to get involved. This is a Jurassic World talk, but that trailer. I'm not sold in that movie.
Oh no, I wasn't.
I'm still gonna watch it.
Yeah, I wasn't fussed by Jurassic World at all. And this thing is just like, I mean, I'll watch it because it's Jurassic Park, but that's about all you're gonna get out of me, really. It's like.
I got one Batman thing left. I got one Batman thing. My last note here, I forgot to say is, do you think Nolan thought of this when doing that last scene in Dark Knight Rises?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
There's no way, because he's paid attention to some of this, especially some of the drafts and the scripts and things.
Okay.
He has lifted certain things. Well, not lifted. That's a bit.
I think
straight away, but it adapted certain things from it. So I think he was definitely keeping this in mind.
Because this is the most selfless thing Batman's done in this movie. I think. I mean, he obviously fights crime for the city, but this whole thing of like, I'm going to save the city of Gotham right now by taking these poisonous balloons out.
But I think we talked about it briefly with Zoe earlier in the week, because it was kind of like, because in this movie, it's like, oh, he's just leaving these balloons to go over and poison another city. And then, like, in Dark Knight Rises, it's like, he took out a nuclear bomb over open water, which is now going to radiate all that water and then potentially poison all the cities around Gotham and Gotham itself.
There's some area in the northern Atlantic that's just been poisoned by every bomb and nerve gas that Batman has dropped just to like get away from the city. Like this one area near like Greenland is just ruined because just like every toxin, every time Venom has come into the city, like he's got to drive it all the way out there. And the people of Greenland, a few like fishers out there, like, can you stop? Because North Atlantic fishing is just mutated really wrong.
That's the thing. Yeah, does he have agreements with anyone about where he can dump it?
This is the whole benefit of being Batman. It's like, I don't have to have agreements with anybody and do what I want.
Yeah. Like he has an agreement about crime with Commissioner, but Commissioner Gordon's not going to handle anything when it comes to like the UN is like, Iceland's fishing is just gone, and Gordon's like, hey, he fights the crime and I kind of turn a blind eye to it. Where he drops those bombs, as long as it's not Gotham.
I mean, That is the thing that's going on. Are you reading White Knight at the minute?
Yes. I think I got a few of the issues. I've only read the first one, and I'm very intrigued about where they're going with it.
But not to get into any spoilers and stuff, but it's revealed throughout, because by the time this airs, the whole run could be done for all I know. But at the minute, it's shown that apparently Gotham has like a $3 billion Batman devastation fund that they've been keeping aside for like every time, and like this is one of the things that Jack Napier, like, just not the joke anymore, but Jack Napier kind of uses against them. Like, all these taxpayers are paying literally $3 billion a year because of Batman, just in case he destroys something else and all this kind of stuff. That's kind of like the morality of like, oh yeah, what is this guy's practice here? Like, he's costing the city so much money, and it's because he's fighting criminals that he arguably has brought on himself and all this kind of stuff. Like that.
Yeah, it is. That is the thing that comes up in Batman, isn't it? Yeah. It's his fault in a way, sort of.
But
well, or is it? That's the question. That's the question.
But anywho, because we're getting close to the hour mark here, so where we would ask the guest, Dave, about your history with the movie. Have you have fond memories of when you first saw it, or anything like that? Or
I think the first time, it's so odd. The first time I saw it, like I remember when we first got a DVD player and we got Batman DVD. It's like I know is when I watched a lot of it. So maybe I was watching like the TV cuts or something. So I remember the first time I actually get to watch the movie all throughout. And it's so funny. The first time I watched it, I'd be like, man, he looks short. And I didn't think about that for the longest time. And then until I was told that, like, Michael Keaton is like, was like short. He was like shorter than Kim Basinger by a few inches. Yeah. And they had to like compensate for that. And it's just what was that. I think this is the first scene early in the movie. I'm just kind of like, I don't know. He looks a little shorter than I imagined. But yeah, I mean, I remember this was like, I remember everyone wanted to watch this movie again when they talked about The Dark Knight. And everyone's like, whoa, there's another Joker. We can't handle that. And I don't know where I was in on it, but like at the time, yeah, like Heath Ledger, I think I wasn't sold on it until that one like picture of him like with the scarred up face like leaked online. I was like, okay, like now I'm interested because like I only know Heath Ledger as like the pretty boy from all those like teen romance movies.
Yeah.
So yeah, you had nothing to go off of, and I remember falling asleep. I think me and my friends like we went to see Knight's Tale. I remember kind of falling asleep because like, we had like, it's quote, it was medieval, but they were playing like modern music. And it was like, this isn't working. Like everyone's trying to have like too much fun with this movie. Like I was like, it was that time in the early 2000s when like they played that one song. Like that's something they used that and like, and all the things. I think it was American Outlaws with Colin Farrell. They were used like click, click, boom, and like train explodes, and Timothy Dalton's like, "Get me those outlaws," So it was that early time where they were like trying to sell teenagers on period pieces by using like action-packed modern music. Like they like,
yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, it's Knight's Tale, but when they dance, we'll have it played with David Bowie. You're like, okay, I don't get it, but
I mean, I don't mind that when it's done in two different ways. One, obviously, if it's a spoof, which Knight's Tale, it's like not quite a spoof. Yeah. It's like halfway to a spoof. Yeah. Just go the whole hog, make a spoof. So that's fine. Or when someone does it in in an artistic way to kind of throw you out or change your expectations of things, like say Tarantino. Yeah. Like he put in David Bowie in Inglourious Bastards. Yeah. That was weird. Yeah. But it kind of works because it's not just like cool. He's doing it in a different way.
But just what you're saying though, Dave, about the fact that like all the outrage is like when Dark Knight came out, it's like, oh, you can't, just another Joker. You can't replace Jack Nicholson as the Joker. I remember then when like Suicide Squad was coming out, it was like, you can't replace Heath Ledger as the Joker. This is insane. This is absolute sacrilege. Yeah. I can imagine like, the next time they cast a Joker, it's going to be this like, okay.
Yeah, it's like you can only go up from here.
Yeah, no one's stepping up the bat for this guy. It's like, yeah, fine. Yeah, I think they're already doing it because they're kind of like, I hear they're making a solo Joker movie and Leonardo DiCaprio is going to play him. Great, there we go.
Honestly,
I would be on board for that, but I don't think he would.
I would rather have it. Yeah, do an animated movie. Figure out you don't have to be Hamill, but have an animated Batman movie. But I like the idea of doing it with White Knight. Because it may be too much to do it as like a full feature film, but I actually would like more people to see that idea of like, what if we did, that's the next time we do Joker, we completely twist it now. We turn Joker has actually is the one making all the sense, and Batman looks like the guy who's actually hurting the city.
Yeah. But yeah, I think.
I suppose.
Unless anyone else, do you have anything else? While you have the floor, Dave, you want to chuck in about Batman in general or anything? Or
No, I think I do like this movie, and I mean it was hard because I think I loved, and this was good, but I think for me, like, I already watched at this point, I might have already watched a lot of the animated series, so like I like this Batman, but I think the animated series is just so much the best I've ever seen of Batman that that's why it's like this is right under Batman animated series in the way of like what's your best favorite Batman lore to view. It's like this is just under it, it's because it really does like bring the mainstream to it, and then it's like, and then for unknown reasons, I don't know why, but I actually kind of put Batman Returns and Batman Forever actually at the same level, because it's like one is like, what if we went super serious, and one was like, what if we went like really colorful, like it's one's like, what if we killed the color, and one's like if we went extra colorful, and I like them, and they're both the goofy ways they do one and the other. And then Batman and Robin's like, it's like you need to be in the mood to watch it and like and laugh at it, like
drunk usually.
Yeah, I mean, have you never watched it? The riff tracks they did of that was, I think they put that audience poll. They said, hey, riff tracks, what do you want the next movie has to riff? And they said it was resounding at the time. It was Batman and Robin, and it is hilarious.
But anyway, I think I'm noted out too, because we are like, we always go long, but at the same time, it's like
we've gone over an hour.
I know how I criticize you for being long, and it's like, well, I helped it, so I'm no better.
That was you. Oh, what
yeah.
Yeah, Dave, before we go, where can our good listeners find you and your own show?
You can find me at 5minutesmystery.com. I talk Mystery Men. I talk Ben Stiller, and I talk Hank Azaria, and having a lot of fun with those superheroes. And by this point, hopefully Sean and I have gotten our act together, and we're working on Groundhog Day Minute.
Looking forward to that. It's going to be good. Well, do check out Dave and his shows. And check us out, because we are all over the internet: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Tumblr. I'm not going to say them all again. You should know by now. Come on. But do check us out on iTunes. Give us a review. It's very, very helpful. And actually, we do have 2 new reviewers that I would like to thank. We were reviewed by, thank you to SithMac17, whoever you are, and Finer J. Nelson. So yeah, thank you to the 2 of you for your 5-star reviews. Very helpful indeed. So yes, everyone leave us them. Yeah, we're hoarding them all. And join us again next week, because we'll be back on Monday. We will have minute 100 of Batman. Can you believe it?
Like a minor heart attack, because I thought you just said minute 1. I was like, what do you mean we've done like 99 of them?
Minute 1.
Do it again.
That's your nightmare every night. Every night you wake up in a cold sweat. Oh, no, it's starting over. No. Well, it won't be long until we're on minute 1 of the next movie, Niall. And it starts all over again. Yes, come back on Monday, because we will have more fun and a new guest. See you then.
Next time, a crime fighter's contour. After saving the city just in time, our Sable airship goes into a vertical climb. But will it lead to a lunar lineation being laid across the nebula? Find out next week. Same Bat Pod, different Bat Minute.